Hello there. Welcome, everybody. This is the first joint podcast, hopefully first of many on the channel. We have DBZarrion here, infamous Dragon Ball Z memer, YouTuber, lore master aficionado. Hello.
Indeed. How are you guys doing, man? So, Charles, or should I say CP3?
Charles is fine. I think CP3O doesn't really roll off the tongue well because everybody just wants to think about the robot. Because I purposely misspelled it just because it's CP are my initials.
All right, well, whatever works for you. In my mind, Charles and CP have become synonymous. So, but anyway, I think we got some pretty good stuff for you guys today. So, as everybody from my channel knows, I am a Dragon Ball Z YouTuber. I'm trying to shift to more general anime related things. But Charles here is a lore master of things related to Star Wars. Pretty much everything Star Wars, you can ask him. He's like an encyclopedia. He pretty much knows everything. So
I'm getting there.
So yeah, this is gonna be a mashup, and I was just thinking for a while about things that we could do to kind of bring these two fictitious realities together, and I mean there's lots of things that we could do. So
yeah,
today we have a couple of ideas as far as discussing characters and their similarities between the two universes. And so okay.
Technical difficulties. While we wait, you can follow DBZ on Instagram, his links, and Twitter. You're on Twitter, aren't you, as well?
Yes,
all
I am.
Those links will be here, and here.
Yeah. All right, yeah. While you're at it, you can DM me and tell me that I'm stupid for not having a webcam. Anyway, so Charles.
Yes.
Earlier, let's see, what was it? Earlier this month, I think it was. I sent you a list of, I want to say it was six or seven anime characters.
Yeah.
That I wanted you to look at and determine what side of the force you thought that these characters would fall under. And so I sent you a biography about all of them and showed you some clips of them. So if you have that list, I definitely love.
Find that list. I don't want to bring it up on PC because it'll bring this in. I'll bring the biographies back up. I know one of them was that we talked about was Shao Tucker.
Yes.
I think that was like one of the ones that we talked about. It's like the character that everybody just loves to hate. He's the most evil. Nobody likes him. And for me, for the Star Wars universe, that's General Krell. Nobody likes General Krell. He's just the worst. He's not a bad character, and like he wasn't a poorly written character, but nobody likes to see him. So we cry for joy when he is killed.
I'll tell you what, Fullmetal Alchemist was an emotional roller coaster, and I don't know. To me, that was just the icing on the cake. For all my Star Wars people who may or may not have seen Fullmetal Alchemist, and I'll do a biography breakdown of Shao Tucker, and you can do one of Krell. So that way, people over on this end know what's going on. But so that way, we can all agree to hate these people collectively because they're pretty poop. But Shao Tucker was a scientist from Fullmetal Alchemist, and there were some issues going on with his experiments and things that he was trying to conduct, and he ended up turning his daughter into a chimera, which is, well, not even just his daughter. His wife died, and then his daughter was turned into a chimera, which is like a mixed breed between like an animal and a human, and she was just living in like agony. And you should have seen, because they gave like such an interesting perspective on who his daughter was. They purposely got us attached to that character just for us to see what ultimately happened to her. And man, when I say like the hate for that guy, I mean, Fullmetal Alchemist came out, man, years ago. I think it's been out for over a decade, and I still see like posts and tweets about, just making sure everybody still hates this guy type of thing. It's, man, he's just looking at his face makes me want to throw up, and I'll probably have a picture of him up here somewhere. And Oh man. All right, I'm gonna give it to Charlie next. I'm getting heated.
Well, I think, yeah, no, you make great points there, and it's like I've been thinking about doing a lore video on General Krell and just kind of do a basis of why so many people hate him. It's like I think it's very similar with the anime community. Everybody can agree on many things, but I think both you and I have really enjoyed kind of making content for people outside the community. So it's like they can kind of better understand what drives us in the community or what we find in these respective universes so intriguing. I hope people don't find Krell intriguing. I hope they hate him. But that's what I like doing my content for, is just trying to explain things. Because I know my dad watches a lot of these videos, and he introduced me to Star Wars, but he's only ever seen the original trilogy because that was his thing. That's what he saw growing up, and he shared that with me. And so I'm making this kind of content for him as kind of my way of, I guess, paying that back, so to speak.
Yeah.
The first character you had on your list was Eren Yeager. And if I remember my notes right, that was the one where it was his mother that was devoured.
Yeah, in front of
he
his face.
swore revenge.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, that was the first episode. Actually, the very first episode. We open up with his mother getting eaten like a Ritz snack or something.
Oof. Yeah.
It was pretty. I don't know. I've seen anime that are dark and open up like that, but I don't know. Something about that scene just kind of gives me goosebumps to this day. So just a little bit of a biography about Eren. Eren is a freedom fighter that is in a world where Titans rule the outside. So they have a community that's inside of a wall, or many walls actually, and the walls are separated by kind of like a hierarchy. So like the more important people are on the very inner wall, and then the commoners on the outside the wall. So the wall is the only thing separating humanity from the Titans, which are cannibals technically, or I guess if you even consider them humans, but they're cannibals. They eat humans. Like that's what they thrive on. And so humanity's basically been living for years in fear of this. And then one day, like the outer wall just gets broken down, and that's where the largest population is. And like Titans just start running in and like devouring people. And Eren's a very interesting character because he starts off as a very bright-eyed, hopeful person. He starts off very, very enthusiastic and empathetic. And then just throughout the series, you can see that just fade and fade and fade and fade. And they do it beautifully. He's such a beautifully written character. And it goes from bright-eyed, and you can just see every time he sees something that's undesirable or something that's messed up, for lack of better words, you can just see the hope fade from his eyes, and his gaze just gets less and less lively and more like traumatized, I guess. He just looks, the emotion disappears so quickly. It's amazing. But anyway, so Charles, you've read the biography about him, you know everything about him.
Yeah, kind of reading about him, I kind of equate him to Saw Gerrera. It's like he kind of starts out as like a promising, I think he was like a university student or whatever equivalent that is in the Star Wars universe. And then Onderon, his homeworld, is taken over by the Separatists and the droids, and he and his sister become rebels, freedom fighters. But when you kind of think of rebels, rebellion, it's like you think, oh, they're fighting for hope. They only do good. But Saw Gerrera was kind of an extremist version of that. And so it's like he wasn't afraid to kill, murder. He wasn't afraid to execute prisoners. He wasn't afraid to torture people to get what he needed. So it's like, yes, he's fighting for the good, but he's using some pretty gnarly ways to do it. Yeah. And it's like we see him at the end of Rogue One, or at the beginning of Rogue One. It's like he used to be this kind of pinnacle, this example of what a great freedom fighter should be. But by the end, he's like so not necessarily corrupted, but it's just he's so far gone from what he kind of began as. Yeah,
I think that's a very, very, very close comparison. And I've always enjoyed characters like that, characters that, I mean, because I don't know, I've always had an issue with characters that always remain like unrealistically like enthusiastic about certain situations. Because I mean, most people in those situations, you know, once you experience one or two traumatic things, you're like, oh man, I don't know. Like your personality starts to waver, your will. It just, I don't know. I love characters like that. So
Yeah.
that's why I started with Aaron. I think he's a beautiful character. And so as far as Sith or Jedi, where do you think he would fall as far as, you think there would be a transition? Do you think?
Probably, yeah, I think more of a Jedi, just because, I mean, he tries to fight for the good. I think it was something about it's like he tries to give what he has to humanity. Was that the line? And so it's like he's willing, or he's willing to help, but it's just he might not be using the right means to do it. Which of course Mace Windu would have something to say about that. It's always kind of fun, these kind of comparisons, because yes, they're fighting for the good, but then it's like you think about that, Anakin was fighting for good, and his willingness to save someone he cared about drove him to the dark side. So who's to say the same won't happen to Aaron? It's always kind of a fun experiment, but I think he'd probably be more light-sided. I always like, this is kind of where people like using the term gray Jedi. I still don't like that term. It's not canon, so but it's kind of in the middle, where yes, you're more for the light, but you're willing to use dark aspects of the Force to fight, to complete the mission.
Yeah, for sure. And just to let you know, so as far as Aaron's true nature, so since I've sent you this list, the actual show or the manga itself has actually ended, and we've kind of got a little bit more insight on Aaron's character. I won't spoil that for you, because I actually want you to watch the show. Like, I'm trying to, guys, for all of you watching, I'm really looking to get Charles into like seriously into anime. Like, I really want
full honesty, I have not watched. I've watched very little anime. I have seen Legend of Korra, and I think that's it. I'm sorry.
Alright, just
I don't mean to disappoint you.
Eat you up in the comments. Just so nobody eats you up in the comments. I'm gonna correct you so that nobody else.
Please do. I don't want to get the lore wrong. I would feel bad about that.
So a lot of people are very particular about what you consider anime and what you don't consider an anime. The Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra are two very, very sensitive topics to the anime community, because a vast majority of us do not consider it an anime.
Okay.
An American.
Yeah, I only saw that because an ex of mine really loved that show, and I watched it, and I thought it was interesting.
It was really good. It was really good. But just be careful who you call it an anime around, because some people will snap.
All right, noted. The only thing I know that the anime fandom as a whole can wholly agree on is that the live action Last Airbender sucked.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing I know that everybody in the anime fandom agrees on. I'm sure that there's some people that enjoy it, but
yeah, and that's why I love it when like, okay, so like obviously there's a huge like divide in the Star Wars fandom because of the sequels that came out with Rey and Finn and Kylo Ren, and you guys are like, man, like, we feel your pain, because there's never ever been a successful live action anime movie ever. Every time they make one, it's like, it's cringy, or they mess something up, or they try and westernize it, and I don't understand that. I don't, man, like they'll like change like a fully Japanese name into like Light Yagami, which is on the list for your Jedi versus Sith debate. They, like, in the live action movie, they changed his name to like Light Turner or some crap like that, and make him like some like delinquent rebel, which is the exact opposite of his character in the show to begin with. So like, you've already like messed up everything that we like about the character. I don't know. At least you guys have successful movies. Because we don't. I don't think I've ever seen an anime, like a live action anime movie that I've liked ever.
And I think that's kind of something that I think the fandom deserves to keep it as just an anime. Like they don't need to see live action movies to feel satisfied, because the shows satisfy you to what you want. That's how you got into them in the first place.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's kind of where Star Wars differs. I think anime and Star Wars have an equally massive following.
Yeah, I agree.
But with Star Wars being owned by Disney now, Disney's able to market far broader audiences, and it's just such a wider medium.
And they're quite literally building a new generation of fans to come up and replace, the people.
And I respect that to an extent. There's plenty of people who like the sequels, and if those are your favorite movies, you have your reasons for liking them. I'm not gonna disparage you for liking them. You have your reasons, and I think that's great. And I'm sure that there are plenty of moments in the anime verse where a lot of people don't like it, but some others do, and I think that's fair. And so good for you. But I know I've talked to you about my stance on the sequels. I won't go into detail here for the podcast.
Yeah, let's not start getting comment wars. Next thing you know, we got paragraphs about why the sequels were good and not bad, and then we got counter argument. Okay, that escalated very, very quickly.
Yeah, let's move on. We had Light Yagami next, and he that was Death Note, correct?
Yes.
So Death Note, he was the main protagonist of Death Note, and he uses the Death Note to kill those unworthy of. Was it just unworthy of living? Like you lost the right to living?
Yeah, so we started out with people that were incarcerated. And so the people that were in jail, like rapists, murderers, etc., they would be the ones that were first to go. Mm-hmm. Because I guess on the news, they would, broadcast to people that are being taken away. So he'd watch the news, and he would, use Death Note, write their name, and within 30 seconds of writing their name in the book, they would die.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. I must have missed that.
So Light's character is very interesting in the fact that he develops sort of like this god complex about himself. Mm-hmm. He coins himself this name, which is Kira. And I believe Kira means new god or newfound god or something like that. And so he can specifically plan out the actions of someone leading up to their death by using the Death Note. So let's say I used the Death Note on you now, and I said, Charles began to call me daddy and then died. You would follow those Charles, you would follow those actions until you died.
Daddy.
So he started having people use their blood to scribe his name on the walls of the jails before they died. So they would write Kira on the wall and then die. And so it became a whole big investigation. And it's a lovely tug of war between a group of elite FBI agents led by a character named L, mm-hmm. and then Light himself with his Death Note and his Shinigami. And man, it's an emotional ride. It's really good. Really, really, really good. But yeah, so where do you think Light falls? I think he has a sense of justice, but I think it's misguided.
Yeah, very much a Sith. Very much a Sith. Again, it's kind of similar to kind of the morally gray area. It's he's killing bad people, but he's still killing.
Yeah.
And using a Death Note, kind of sounds like a very dark side kind of magic, would definitely make him fall into the Sith area. Yeah. As far as a specific character, oh man, I know outside of the Star Wars universe, he sounds a lot like the Punisher. I think that's the perfect, kind of the perfect comparison for him.
Yeah, and I just want to. It goes from just the inmates or the bad people to it shifts to anybody who stands in my way, mm-hmm. is going to die. So there were a lot of innocent lives lost as well. Um, and I won't spoil too much, but I just want you to know that that shift is there. It's like it goes away from just being like this sense of justice to this,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, like this God complex, and nobody can stand in my way. I'm going to rule this world with an iron fist, and whew, it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack. But so you definitely said Sith,
Yeah.
definitely Sith. I
I'm
think I
just trying to
agree.
think of a specific character. I mean, I would think it'd kind of be like one of the older Sith Lords from Knights of the Old Republic in the Old Republic era. Um, man, I didn't even think of like which character he could be like. I was just thinking of be a Jedi or Sith. I wasn't prepared for that one.
Yeah, definitely some uh, interesting character development.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's probably one of the best written characters in anime, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of Legends material on Anakin, and I think he kind of sounds like a lot of kind of a dark-sided Anakin who isn't Vader. So just like a dark side Anakin Skywalker, because we all know Anakin Skywalker uses the dark side as a Jedi. And I just kind of think that if Anakin was allowed a lot more free reign, or if he had left the order, he would definitely have a lot more free reign to dole out justice on those who are evil, because it was very, very noticeable that he wanted to kill the slavers in, I think, season 4 of the Clone Wars. There are slavers, and he did not hesitate to try and kill them, but was stopped by Obi-Wan. So it's like if Obi-Wan wasn't there, Anakin definitely would have killed slavers, which we'd have no problem with that. They're evil beings. But it still kind of doesn't fall in that Jedi code to kill. You must show compassion to your enemies, even no matter how evil they are. Whereas Light Yagami just wallop, goodbye.
Really, it was really that simple. Simple as writing their name in a book.
Yeah.
And man, but yeah, definitely, I can see that comparison. And part of me wishes that we would have gotten to see that Anakin, just
Oh,
a
me too.
freelance Anakin,
Me too, man.
like it almost like makes me want to compare him to like a Batman, a vigilante Anakin who
I think
does
another great
whatever he
example
wants.
of that would actually be Starkiller.
Yeah.
I love Starkiller. Galen Merrick is such a well-written character, and a lot of us are really trying to get Dave Filoni to do a Clone Wars style animated series for him and have Sam Witwer reprise his voice acting. That'd be amazing. I don't think it'll happen, but there's rumors in the works that they might remaster Force Unleashed, which would be pretty cool.
They've got my money.
Yeah, but I think, thinking kind of back, Starkiller is a much better comparison because he is a dark-sided user, but he uses that dark side magic for good, and he's not afraid to kill bad guys. He prefers to kill bad guys, and that's just how he works for the rebellion in the second game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a better comparison.
All right. So I don't remember who I had next.
We
I believe
had Piccolo, I believe.
Okay. So a little bit of background about Piccolo. Piccolo started off, his father came to Earth first, and his father was evil. His father's name was Demon King Piccolo, and Demon King Piccolo, he was basically run of the mill antagonist. He wanted to kill and hurt and harm, and didn't want to answer to anybody. Goku ended up stopping him, and he reproduced, pulling out Piccolo Jr., which is the one that we all know and love. And he kind of retains some of that evil nature, but it's not as potent because he ends up getting getting everything switched around, and he becomes, a Z fighter, and he starts helping Goku and the others. So he also has that transition from evil to good, which is a really nice reoccurring theme in Dragon Ball. There's a lot of people that start off really evil or just twisted, and then they become good guys. So I don't know. I thought this would be an interesting one because it defies what we've been talking about this whole time, which is going from a good person to a bad person. Well, now let's talk about somebody who goes from a bad person and transitions over to doing good and doing justice and wanting what's right. So I thought it'd be interesting for you to come up with a comparison in the Star Wars universe for that.
There's so many great examples. Darth Revan is my favorite example of like good guy turned bad guy turned good guy again. There is, I think Asajj Ventress is another great example. She had a lot of anger in her growing up, similar to Anakin, but she was rescued by a Jedi when pirates attacked her homeworld. But shortly after, the pirates killed her master, so she turned evil, became Count Dooku's apprentice. But after she's betrayed, she realizes that she was being used, and she doesn't necessarily fight for good, but she doesn't stop the good guys from winning. I think, but if you're thinking of like a full on bad guy to good guy, that's a good one. Honestly, I think Vader's a good example of that, because we always knew there was Anakin Skywalker in him.
Yeah.
That no matter how powerful Vader became, there was always some part of Anakin remaining. And we see that in Return of the Jedi, that the second his son pleads for help, he helps his son. That's it, no matter. And I think most of us in the Star Wars community have fully accepted that if Vader didn't die, he would have turned to the light and helped Luke rebuild the Jedi Order. I think that's kind of a good theory comparison, so to speak.
Really interesting to see too.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
There was a Star Wars Theory did a really great theory video about if that had happened. But it's like, we know that after that scene that Vader is gone and Anakin has returned. There's a great quote in that scene, and it's my dad's favorite quote and one of mine as well, where Vader's mask has come off, revealing Anakin Skywalker reborn, and Luke says to his father, "I can't leave you here, I have to save you." And Anakin replies, "You already have," which I think is like the perfect ending to Vader's story, is that he's leaving his evil behind to save his son, and he's I guess rebirthing his former self as Anakin Skywalker. And I think if he didn't die, he would have helped Luke rebuild the Jedi Order.
And that probably, I mean, thinking about it down the line, that probably would have changed a lot that happened in the sequels.
Yeah.
I mean, we might see Ben Solo as opposed to Kylo Ren. Man, just thinking about how it could change things down the line.
My theory about that is just, if you had a incredibly powerful Jedi like Luke, an incredibly powerful Jedi like Anakin, who knows a lot about the dark side of the Force, I think having those two work together with the Jedi Order is the perfect balance, because the Force is all about balance. Anakin is the chosen one. He was supposed to bring balance to the Force. So if he and his son were able to rebuild the Jedi Order together, they are both there with Luke's guidance from Obi-Wan, knowing so much about the light, and Vader's teachings from Palpatine and knowing so much about the dark. You have that perfect balance to teach all of the upcoming Jedi students about the light and the dark. There's no need to fear the dark. You must embrace it, but don't become so devoted to the light that you forget about the dark.
Yeah.
And that would have been amazing to see.
Could you imagine the powerhouse that they would be together? Could you imagine?
Yeah, that's why I loved the ending of spoilers, the ending of the second season of The Mandalorian, because you have that perfect parallel. I'm not saying it. You just have a great parallel. You can see that Luke has kind of taken on some of his father's strengths, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Without spoilers.
Okay. Thank you so much. For those of you, the Star Wars fans are watching, I haven't finished The Mandalorian yet. I think I have 2 or 3 episodes left, and I was watching it, and I was using somebody else's Disney Plus, whom I may or may not have had permission to use, and they changed the password. So yeah, I'm waiting so I can get my own Disney Plus and finish it off. But yeah, I just thinking about Vader and Luke together, oh man, like it's giving me like chill, like goosebumps right now.
That would have been
the reformed empire would have been squashed in like a mere like that. Like, oh man.
Part of me is glad that we have the sequels because there's a lot more world building and so much more about the Star Wars universe we know, and I always am for that. Like, a lot of people didn't like Rebels because it's such a slow show, it's kind of campy, but it's like, first, okay, these are animations, they are for kids.
Yeah.
And people have to remember that. Just because we like to meme that Clone Wars is a kids show, it's like it is a kids show, and there are times where it's going to be campy and kind of drones on. But some of those episodes are my favorite because it builds the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And I love world building episodes because what got me into Star Wars is just the massive world that we have. Just all these different creatures, all these different planets, these environments, these different factions, these different ships. It's just amazing that all of this essentially came from one guy and just expanded into what we have today. Because George Lucas had the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy all in his mind when he was originally making Star Wars. Because we see it in the very first movie, A New Hope, where Anakin asks Obi-Wan, "You fought in the Clone Wars?" It's like, holy crap, that'd be cool to see. And then lo and behold, 30-something years later, we get the Clone Wars. That's one of the best animated shows on television.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, I agree.
It's just amazing to set up.
All right, I don't want to. I could talk about Luke and Vader for forever.
Yeah, we should probably.
For the sake of the length of this video.
Yeah. Let's see. Rey from the Promised Neverland.
The Promised Neverland. Yes.
He was kind of that model student and like the perfect student, incredibly smart, straight A's, family guy. Not family guy, but like a family man.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory about Rey. So in the Promised Neverland, there are children that are all in a house. They live in a house with a mother that's their mother. And we're at first made to believe that it's an orphanage, and they're all staying there and waiting to get adopted. And so the first person that we see get adopted is this girl named Connie. And, you know, Connie's like really cute. She's small and, you know, she looks like a child. She has like a really nice kid voice. And, you know, we all get attached to her immediately. You know, children characters are usually really easy to love. They're lovable. And so I believe it was Norman and Emma who are friends to Rey. They follow their mom, her name is Isabella. They follow Isabella while she's taking Connie. And the weird thing is that I noticed when it first happened is there's no like family that's there to pick them up at the orphanage. There's a gate that's on the other side of the orphanage that they take them to, and then they never hear from them again. And they talk about that throughout the entire first few episodes. They never hear from anybody that leaves. And so that builds like an interesting, like, well, I wonder why nobody writes back if they all love each other so much. And so at this point, it's when we realize that we're in a paranormal world where human meat is desired by demons. Yeah. It seems like a completely normal show at first. It takes a super paranormal turn. But these demons, they have farms all over their world where they bring up these children. And what they like to eat specifically is the brain. So the children that have the most developed brains, the smartest, the best, those are the ones that are made out to be the tastiest and the most desirable. Kind of like how, we like steaks are a certain way. And like we have prize winning cows and stuff. Like it's the same concept. And so
for those of those outside Kansas, cow judging is very big here.
Oh man, unfortunately
they bring them down the streets to judge them.
yeah
Kansas is weird, yo.
Yeah, don't stay away from here, guys. Stay away from here. But yeah, so Norman and Emma are friends to Rey, and throughout the entire series, Rey kind of has an idea. They're all extremely smart. almost unreasonably smart in the way that they think. And I'm pretty sure they're what, 10? I don't remember their exact age. They're really young for how smart they are. And Norman, he's kind of a very quiet, somber character. He likes to sit under trees and he likes to read, and he doesn't really say much. He's mostly quiet. And it takes a lot of time for him to build up the courage to act the way that Emma and Norman do, because they're really outspoken and loud, and they speak up for what they believe in. And Rey kind of has this shroud over his character where he acts a certain way, but then over time he starts to build courage and be able to act with Emma and Norman and be courageous and have this fearlessness in him. And I actually love Rey as a character. He's really dope, extremely smart. And Rey is the reason that the kids escaped from the orphanage or the farm in the first place. He worked out this brilliant plan, and during the show, Isabella kind of figures out that Norman, Emma, and Rey know about what's really going on, and they kind of have like this mental battle of intellect. And they're staying quiet, and Isabella's staying quiet, and all the kids are around them. None of them know, but there's like this quiet tension between Isabella and Norman, Emma, and Rey, and it just creates such an interesting atmosphere in the show. But yeah, so as far as what you know about Rey,
definitely a Jedi. Definitely. Just because it's like they with their intelligence, it's like they are protecting others, but they try not to, from how you described it, they don't try to go too far. It's like they're trying to stay very level-headed. They're judging each situation. It's like thinking what the best course of action is that will give the best results while also being able to protect their friends the best. So definitely a Jedi. In terms of specific Jedi, I kind of want to say Obi-Wan or Yoda, just because of the wisdom and the just kind of. Yoda is probably the smartest Jedi, or the wisest Jedi, but Obi-Wan is probably the smartest, because I think a lot of people confuse intelligence with wisdom. So you can be very smart, but you might not be giving the greatest advice, or your intellect might kind of come off as a know-it-all, so to speak. From the sounds of it, it seems like Rey kind of has the perfect balance of the two of them. I mean, was he kind of, did he use his intelligence kind of too much sometimes, or was he kind of a know-it-all?
No, he was actually really reserved. He's a reserved character.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak out much. Now, when he's right, he knows he's right.
Yeah.
When he's right, he's right. He knows it.
Yeah.
But he's not going to go out of his way to try and prove you wrong.
Okay, gotcha.
If you want to be an idiot, he's going to let you be an idiot.
Yeah, that's definitely Obi-Wan. He had Anakin as his Padawan. That's definitely Obi-Wan. No, I was kind of thinking, because with the recent Bad Batch episodes, this is not a spoiler, but it's just we see more of Tech and his intellect. Even though he's vastly intelligent, he doesn't realize when he's being over intelligent, or when he doesn't realize when others don't understand what's going on. And I think one of his common quotes is, "I thought that was obvious." It's like he doesn't understand that others don't have the same brain as he does.
Yeah.
And that doesn't sound like Rey. It seems like he understands kind of the limit of other people's intellect. And so that's I think definitely kind of a combination between Obi-Wan and Yoda. Just the wisdom and intelligence. It's like allowing you the, I guess, what's the word? Just kind of allowing you the clarity to know when you're wrong, but allowing you to be wrong at the same time, I think is a very noble task for someone as smart as Rey.
Yeah, he's a really, really fun character. Unfortunately, The Promised Neverland, they kind of messed it up, and it honestly, without holding back, it sucked. The ending sucked. The second season sucked. Everything about it sucked. But I mean, one of the few things that I was able to pull out of it that I liked still was Rey. One of the only good things about the show past the first season. So not necessarily something that I would recommend watching. unless you're solely watching it for Rey. But yeah, I think that's all I have on Rey.
Mm-hmm.
Not much to unpack there.
Yeah. The next one was Yuji Itadori.
Ah, yes,
the jujitsu guy, and I'm just reading his bio here. He's definitely a Jedi. He's willing to sacrifice himself for his friends because of his grandfather's last words, for him to die surrounded by others. Impulsive. It seems he's kind of impulsive. That sounds a lot like Anakin. A lot of these characters sound like Anakin. They're kind of like very powerful, but kind of impulsive with it. And that sounds like Anakin.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing I wanted you to dissect about Itadori, though. So Itadori, he's a high school student, like basic run-of-the-mill anime protagonist stories. High school student, he starts off. So he eats one of these relics. It's called Sukuna's finger, right? And Sukuna was a very powerful cursed spirit. Actually, he was the king of cursed spirits. Very, very powerful. And so he's in a dire situation after he meets some jujutsu sorcerers, and he eats that finger. And it causes Sukuna, or a part of Sukuna, his conscience, to manifest within him. And this conscience is able to take over Itadori at Itadori's will. So he's very dark, very twisted, undoubtedly evil. He's evil. That's like the best way I can describe it. He's straight up evil. At one point, he when Itadori let him take control of his body, he took out Itadori's heart, and I'm pretty sure he threw it like to the side, like he just takes it out and throws it. So that way, if Itadori switches back with him, then Itadori will die. So I don't know. He's very, very cunning, very twisted, kind of a split personality thing. So I was interested in seeing, because I'm not aware of anybody from the Star Wars universe that has kind of like a split personality, like that, like an inner demon type of thing. So I was hoping maybe you had a comparison, and I don't know where he would fall between Jedi and Sith. So that's why I was looking for your expert opinion.
I mean, that's kind of. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking of Anakin again, because Anakin and Vader is kind of. Anakin Skywalker as Vader has 3 personalities, or I guess 3 faces, we like to call it. There's, and Obi-Wan said it perfectly, like he's more machine than man. And that's alluding to General Grievous. It's like his body has been destroyed, so he's had to be built up with all these parts, machines, gadgets to keep him alive. And that's exactly what General Grievous did. The biggest difference between that, Grievous chose to do that, but Vader didn't have an option because he was defeated by Obi-Wan. But Vader also has the face of Count Dooku. He's this very powerful Sith Lord who uses manipulation and power and fear to get what he wants, which is exactly what Dooku did. But Vader also vastly understood politics because of his marriage to Padme and the amount of time he spent with friends of Padme, like Bail Organa and other senators. He learned a lot about politics, so he knew kind of how to play the Senate and play other worlds with politics. But he's also Maul, rage, just pure rage and uncontrolled rage because of what happened to him. And if you piss off Vader, there's no fighting. You're dead.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're gonna pay.
So I think it's not necessarily a split personality. It's more of just a combination of all those 3, but underneath is still Anakin Skywalker. And I always love using this scene from Rebels as a great example, because Vader and Ahsoka are fighting each other, and Ahsoka gets a very good blow to Vader's mask, and it cuts off a chunk of his mask to where you can see his eyes. And so after he's catching his breath, he breathes out Ahsoka. And of course that stops all of Ahsoka's movements, because we can hear Anakin's voice. The animators did a really cool trick. They used a bit of James Earl Jones and Matt Lanter, who voiced Anakin in the Clone Wars. They use a combination of that to give that voice bite, which I thought was pretty cool. But it's like we hear, just for a brief moment, Anakin call out to his former Padawan. And so we can see that that personality is still there, as buried deep as it probably is. But there's also, the Vader comic does this really well, showing bits of Anakin Skywalker here and there. My favorite moment, this is another character people like to hate, is Vader kills Commander Fox. Commander Fox accidentally orders his clones to fire upon him, because from a distance they couldn't tell it was Vader. They just thought it was some Jedi. But Commander Fox is the one who arrested Ahsoka and wanted to shoot her. Of course, Anakin stopped that. But Vader kills Fox without a hesitation. He used the Force to break his neck. And I read that strip in the comic strip. I'm like, yes. But it's like you have that deep personality of Anakin, because that was Anakin that did that. That wasn't Vader. That was Anakin. And there's another great one at the end of Clone Wars, where Vader is on the moon where Rex and Ahsoka crashed, and we see Vader walking through the snow and picking up Ahsoka's lightsaber, and he ignites it. He looks up to the sky, and Morai, who's the owl that embodies the sister, who is the pure embodiment of the light side. He looks up at that owl, and she's circling around, and there's a close-up of Vader's helmet where we can see the eyes, and those are Anakin's eyes. So there's kind of those brief moments of Anakin Skywalker that allow us to see that Anakin and Vader are very much together. It's just one is more powerful at the other, and usually Vader's more powerful.
Man, so much complexity to Vader as the character. That's why I love him.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of see what Star Wars will do without the Skywalker saga. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think these movies and TV shows have built Star Wars to what it is. And it's just, there's so much more to the Star Wars universe than just the Skywalkers. We've seen The Mandalorian do this perfectly. It's like we just see bounty hunters and like what it's like post Battle of Endor. And it's such great world building outside of the Skywalker saga. And I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have done an excellent job trying to set the fans up for a world outside of the Skywalkers. And I'm sure there's instances where it's like it's all focused around one character, but you want to see what that world is like outside of the characters.
Point in case Dragon Ball Z. So there's a point in time where a lot of fans theorize this is a myth. A lot of people don't know that this is a myth, but a lot of people theorize that the reason that Akira Toriyama, which is the creator of Dragon Ball, the reason he killed off Goku is because he wanted Gohan to replace Goku as the main character. A lot of people don't know this, but for those of you that don't, there's a myth. It's a myth. It's definitely a myth. It was never confirmed. And I forgot who it was, but there was a YouTuber that was watching that broke it all down. And it definitely turns out that it is a myth. But there's a point in time or an extended period of time where we're without Goku as a savior. And we think that Gohan, which is his son, is the only person that we're going to have to help save the universe. And I mean, eventually all that is taken down because Goku returns and like through some unrealistic means. I'm very, very critical of the Buu saga, but there's a point in time where we think, hey, Goku's not going to be around, stemming from the end of the Cell saga when he dies to sometime around the middle of the Buu saga when Gohan's like the last hope, or what we think is the last hope. And I think in the Cell saga they did a really good job of building Gohan up to be this very powerful character in which we could rest our hopes on his shoulders as opposed to Goku's. Because at this point in the Cell saga, Gohan had surpassed Goku. He was the strongest out of everyone, out of Vegeta, Goku, Piccolo, like all the people that were older than him. He was the most powerful. So I think throughout the Cell saga, they prepared us for that because they showed Gohan's power creep and showed how his power and his maturity were developing throughout the entire series. So that way, when Goku's gone, we're like, man, Goku's gone. But then you kind of have this sense of you don't feel distressed at all. You're like, well, Gohan's here. Gohan has it. He's matured. He has the power to protect the Earth. So we don't need Goku as much. And of course, all that's scrapped like later on and some other things. But
Yeah.
I think that's really comparable to how they're preparing the Star Wars universe for life outside the Skywalkers. We've seen these worlds be built. We know that, you know, Star Wars can carry narrative and hold our attention without the Skywalkers, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really cool, especially given how much it's been focused on the Skywalkers for forever now.
Yeah. And that's not to say there isn't content for outside of the Skywalker, but there's tons. I mean, the whole Old Republic stuff, like with both of the KOTR games and just dozens upon hundreds of books and comics. There's so much of that builds that universe. It's all legends. And personally, I think they can coexist. There's no reason canon and legends can't exist together. But it's like when kind of how I want to build my channel, it's like I really want to make it certain. I want to make it clear to people. It's like, this is canon. So this is things that are official in the universe. These are not official. This is just kind of, I guess, if you want to put it in layman's terms, canon is nonfiction, legends is fiction.
Yeah. In the world of Star Wars. Yeah.
And I think it makes sense that Disney did that just because there's so much stuff out there that it's really difficult for really anybody to say, yes, this is true. Yes, this is true. The new book series, though, Light of the Republic, this book series, I'm rereading it. There is not a single mention of Skywalker in this book. And it's actually really refreshing. I love that. It takes place about 200 years before the Phantom Menace. And so Yoda is in here. I think that's the only common character from the Skywalker saga that is in this series. And this is canon, by the way. And
nice.
I love that, just kind of seeing just a built up or a built universe, or kind of like another timeline, so to speak, that is something new. I enjoy that.
Yep. So I have a question.
Yes.
About the Star Wars fandom. So I'm not really in depth with the Star Wars fandom. I see a lot of the Dragon Ball fandom, so I'm able to like kind of dissect and, you know, pinpoint certain things and aspects about our fandom. Are you guys as divided as we are about canon versus non-canon? Like, I've seen fans from our fandom completely like discard something just because it's not canon. Like, the ability to enjoy something is diminished because it's not canon in our fandom, and I hate that. I hate it.
I haven't really ever seen it get so toxic, or at least just for canon and non-canon. I don't think I've ever seen it. Like, I've seen some corrections here and there. I've been corrected on one of my videos. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. It's like, I want to be correct when I'm telling or when I'm saying something, but there's a lot of really cool Legends stuff that isn't canon. Like, all of the KOTR stuff is Legends right now. So Darth Revan, Darth Nihilus there's canon material for them, but a lot of the stuff that makes them so awesome is Legends. And that's just, it's so sad. I think Darth Bane is the oldest Sith that is confirmed canon because the rule of two was established. But I just think a lot of us were surprised when they said, hey, there's going to be a canon universe and a Legends universe, because I just don't think something like that made sense, because just the amount of Star Wars content out there when Disney bought Lucasfilm, 2013? It was 2012 or 2013. And so, because I have maybe a dozen or so Star Wars books with my parents in Arizona. And I remember at the Kansas City Public Library, there's a section of just Star Wars that had dozens and dozens and dozens of books. And just to think that all those dozens of books, thinking that all the amount of time that all of those writers spent writing them. And most of those writers got to meet with George Lucas, talk with George Lucas about what he thought they were writing. And some of the directors I know, was it Matthew Stover? I think talked with George Lucas and Irvin Kershner, who directed Empire Strikes Back. Just the fact that all of that effort, not to say it's for nothing, it's just all of that isn't official in the Star Wars universe anymore. And that has to suck. And so, but I've never really seen it get too bad, I guess, to answer the long answer to your question.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about that before, kind of the toxicity of some of the fandoms.
Yeah,
I think, yeah. And it's not to say that this is something the sequels did, but I think the worst thing that Star Wars fans have done was bully Kelly Marie Tran off social media. That was evil and wrong. And it's not my place to say whether a person's crazy or not. It's just actors and actresses, they're just doing their job. It's not as if they are that character. It's their job to portray this character the way that it's been written, like it or not. I mean, I didn't like the way Rey was written. She could have had, I think, a much better character development, but that's no fault of Daisy Ridley. The fact that Finn was done dirty, well, John Boyega was done dirty, but the fact that Finn didn't get the story he deserved is no fault of John Boyega. It's just they're getting paid to do their job, and sometimes actors and actresses don't like what they're written, but it's what they got. And so, yeah, Star Wars did that, or Star Wars fans did that, and that was not cool. Uncool Star Wars fans, don't do it again. This is something I've seen that the sequel trilogy has done. It's just, I think it's a lot more divided than it used to be. But Matthew Stover the other day was talking about The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is his second favorite movie. And he was talking about one of his favorite scenes is the flashback scene where Luke ignites his lightsaber over Ben Solo, thinking he needs to end him before he goes down the dark path. And he talks about how Luke thinks, it's like Luke is so scared. He's becoming so enveloped by fear that he forgets how much he believes in redemption, that his character is all about redemption, and that he believes that everyone gets another chance, that everyone is redeemable. And he remembers that and retracts his lightsaber. But unfortunately, Ben sees it and that all goes to hell from there. But it's kind of thinking back on that and like, oh, yeah, you got a good point. But it's just kind of it's interesting to hear such a notable person in the Star Wars community kind of give a very interesting take on The Last Jedi. I mean, I still won't. I've got my reasons. For those watching, I'll give you my basic thing about the sequel trilogy. As movies, just singular movies, they are amazing. They are really well done. There's decent writing. The visuals are amazing. The sequel on its own has a consistent-ish, it follows its own trilogy. And so as movies, they are really good. As Star Wars movies, less so. That's all I'll say about it. Again, if you like Star Wars and you like the sequel trilogy, great. I'm glad that you love the movies and they're yours to love. So good on you. I'm not trying to sway my opinion on you. That's just my take.
All right. So I believe, man, Ray started a whole just.
I think the next one was Shao Tucker, and we kind of already.
Oh yeah.
We kind of already did that. Just the character you love to hate, you're so evil. But the character, the part of everybody hating him, that's Krell. But the pure evil part, that's definitely Palpatine. Mm-hmm. Because Shao Tucker was the one that kind of like experimented on everybody just for the hell of it. It's like, hey, I want to experiment on something, so I'll do it. That was Palpatine. He didn't care who his experiments were on. He didn't care who he was hurting. He just wanted to try something. That's definitely Palpatine.
I can see that for sure. Oh man, I hate that guy. Let me pull up a picture of him real quick.
Do it. Do what must be done, Lord Zarion. Do not hesitate. Show no mercy. There's
this scene where he's with his man. Oh man. Just get this guy off my screen. I don't even know why I did this. Get the hell out of here. All right. I don't think Shao Tucker was he the last one that was on our list?
Oh, was he? I might have been wrong. Let me bring it up. Oh, I don't even know if he was on the list. You just sent me that because I had asked you, like, who's a character that everybody just hates. Like, might be a well-written character, but you hate him anyway. We had well-written. Senku from Dr. Stone.
Ah, yes. He's really his really most prominent aspect of his character is just his intellect. Mm-hmm. Extremely smart, and they show that he's a scientist. And I don't know. The reason I don't like Dr. Stone as much is because I feel like that's his only real aspect that I really like. Because other than that, he's like super goofy. He's not very dark. He's serious when he needs to be serious, but overall, he's just a really goofy character. He gets what he needs to get done, but his personality is it's really lighthearted, and he's been through a lot. I'm trying to explain this the best way I can without spoiling. He's been through this. He's been through a lot of crap. Yet still, he has a smile on his face. He does what needs to be done. He isn't evil. He tries to respect the boundaries and the livelihood of people that are around him. So, I mean, I guess he's a textbook Jedi. I guess he's just.
I know exactly who. You mentioned that he does everything with a smile on his face. That is 100% Kit Fisto. This is something that I love that the Clone Wars did. I love it when it's like another thing why I love the Clone Wars so much is just we get so much more depth to so many great characters. Because it's like we see all of these characters in all the movies. It's just they might be brief glimpses of them or a scene here and there, or just a rotating camera shot of the Jedi Council chambers. But then in the show, we get so much more background. And Kit Fisto does everything with a smile on his face. One of my favorite shots is the Lair of Grievous. It's the second season. It's the first or second season. But Kit Fisto and his former knighted Padawan, go into the Lair of Grievous to try and capture him. They were led to believe that Newt Gunray was there, but it was a trap. It's a trap! It's the Lair of Grievous, and it's a test for Dooku. It's a test by Dooku for Grievous. I don't need to give so much embellishment on these episodes. I'm sorry. Kit Fisto fights General Grievous, and he ends up cutting off one of Grievous's hands for another saber. So he has the two sabers here, and it's just, and he's just has a big old smile on his face. I'll bring up the picture here because it is truly great. Let's see. Might not be the scene I was thinking about, but let me.
And there's so much.
He's just smiling. Smiles.
Oh, is Kit Fisto amphibious?
Yes, he is.
Oh, I see.
Let me. Where am I at? Okay, stop share. What's the name? It's Norian. Nautolan, not Norlian, Nautolan. Sorry. Don't hate on me, Star Wars fandom. My brain can only process so much. He's a Nautolan. He actually, kind of a fun little Star Wars tidbit. So he rediscovered the technology to allow lightsabers to be ignited and used underwater.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, which is why the episode arc of the Water War in the 4th season, that's what he's called upon, and that's why Anakin and Ahsoka can fight underwater because of his rediscovery of that. Pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
But yeah, he's definitely Kit Fisto. Does everything with a smile on his face. We had
overall positive person, but yeah.
Itachi Uchiha.
Ah, yes, my favorite character on this list. All right, let's get up a picture of Itachi.
I'm guessing. Oh shoot.
Yes, that is. Yes. Alrighty. So Itachi is a very interesting character in how he was written. So initially, we're meant to believe that Itachi is just the worst of the worst, just a terrible person. So Itachi, the first narrative we're given about him is he kills his entire clan, his family, everyone except for his brother, his little brother, who he couldn't bring himself to kill. Initially, when we're showed this scene and showed what Itachi did, it looks like he just has like this hatred for everybody. It looks like he's completely evil, and he tells his brothers like, if you ever want to defeat me, you have to have more hatred. And he leaves, and we're left with that for a very long time. You know, for a while I started to hate Itachi. I'm like, you're such a stupid person. Like, I hate you. Like you killed your own family. Who could do that? But the way he's written is, so initially Itachi was a spy on his own clan, because the Uchiha clan, which is the clan that he's a part of, they were planning a coup to overthrow the Leaf Village and take it over for themselves. They didn't like the government. They didn't like where the higher ups were going, the Hokage and his, the people that were on the committee. They didn't like where it was going. So Fugaku, who's his father, was staging a coup so that they could take over the Leaf Village and they could run the village the way they wanted. So Itachi was devoted to the village in such a way that he was willing to not only get rid of his family, but take on all the hatred of his brother, whom he loved the most in the world. Take on the hatred of the entire Leaf Village, the remaining Uchihas. He shouldered all of that to protect his brother, to protect the village that he loved. He's such a complex character. He just everything that he does within the show. Like, every time I see him on screen now, I just want to scream. He's so freaking cool, and I just think that's such a big burden to carry. You sacrifice your own family, you sacrifice your livelihood, your ability to live as a free person. You go, and he joined a rogue organization called the Akatsuki, which were a group of inherently bad people. They were all evil or had some kind of twisted view of reality and what it meant to live in the world of Naruto. And he joined them, even though he was nothing like any of them. He was a very loving person. He just had to do some undesirable things to protect things and the people that he loved in the material world. And I could go on for hours about Itachi. He's such a great character.
That's a good one. I mean, the act of it itself, like killing people and kind of basically taking their essence, so to speak, is Darth Nihilus from KOTR. It's like he would kill people, take their essence because he was hungry. It's not like your guy, but just kind of thinking of that action itself as Darth Nihilus, but doing it to, in a sense, protect them. That's a good one. There's not a lot of good examples like that.
It's like if Yoda, I don't know. It's hard to draw comparisons, but it's like if a Jedi was killing to protect the Jedi Order. or betrayed the Jedi. I don't know, man. I don't
protect the Jedi. Ooh, to protect the Jedi Order. That not necessarily the killing part, but doing what is necessary to protect the Jedi Order. I want to word it like that because I don't think he'd kill to protect it. Well, I don't think he'd just outright murder somebody to protect the Jedi Order, but doing what I need to be careful how I word this because I don't want people to hate after me. Mace Windu, I think, has done a lot of not shady things, but a lot of wrong things for the protection of the Jedi Order. And I think the biggest one is in the unaired season 6 that we got to see first aired on Netflix, the Lost episodes, I believe. We see Obi-Wan and Anakin discover who Darth Tyrannus is, Count Dooku. I mean, we know that, but they didn't know that. So when they find out that Darth Tyrannus was the one who, with Sifo Dyas, made the order for all the clones, the fact that their enemy was the one who gave them an army is shocking. And so they decide to keep that secret to themselves. That this path was what was it that Yoda said? Or Windu turns to Yoda, it's like, are you sure that we are taking the right path? And Yoda replies, it's like, the right path, no. The only path, yes. So it's like, of course, they say that the Chancellor can't even know. Of course, if they told the Chancellor, all of his plans might have been ruined, which, end of Star Wars. But I think that the fact they're keeping lives, basically. The Jedi Order of the Clone Wars played politics. They played poorly, so to speak.
Yeah. And that was exactly what Itachi was a victim of, politics.
And I'm going to talk about this in a podcast when I start doing all the various Ahsoka designs. That's coming up in June because I'm finishing Rebels this month, and then we'll start onto Ahsoka. But I'm going to talk about a lot of people do not like the Martez sister arc of the final season of the Clone Wars. I love it. I mean, I'm biased to all of the DBZ people out there, all the anime fans. Ahsoka Tano is my favorite Jedi, my favorite character ever in Star Wars. She's awesome. But her willingness to sacrifice herself, allow her to be arrested, let her friends go, and all the links that she's going to try and protect the sisters, that is what the Jedi Order should be. That is what the Jedi Order of the past was. And that is what people thought of Luke's Jedi Order, at least in the legends that we have. The Jedi Order that protects. They don't play politics. They don't play either side. They're only there to protect people. They go where they're asked. They assess the situation. They try for the best peaceful option allowable. I mean, sometimes that leads to battles. We know it happens because not everybody is willing to negotiate. But that arc shows how people used to believe in the Jedi and what people want the Jedi to be. And so I guess in a sense that I don't know if that really compares to Itachi much. I mean, he's doing what he thinks he needs to do to protect others, whether it's right or wrong. Well, I mean, killing people, that's wrong.
Killing your mother and your father specifically.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Is another thing. But I just kind of think that thought of doing what they need to survive and to protect others. But I kind of see Mace in that. Not the killing part, but just like going to drastic lengths to protect the order.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Man, he's just such a cool character.
Yeah,
and
that sounds like a complex character.
Yeah, you can see the emotion. Could you imagine?
I've got a lot of binging to do.
I mean, Naruto's probably one of the longer ones. I don't.
Mhm.
It's pretty long, and it's
Yeah.
actually still ongoing. There's another series.
That's what this is from, right?
Right.
That's what that's from.
They run like with their hands
Oh.
behind. Yeah, that's what that's from.
I only knew that. Okay, anime fans, please don't hate on me for this. The only reason why I know that was because of the Area 51 raid meme. Because the intelligence officers had to show generals of the United States Army what a Naruto run was. I still get a big kick out of that. My dad sent me an email from an officer from Fort Huachuca saying, hey, well, we have an intelligence briefing today about Area 51 and something called a Naruto run. And I'm just howling. The United States military. That's so fun. You anime people are hilarious. Do not change. Oh my God. All right, you had a few props and gadgets and collectibles to show at the beginning of the podcast. I think maybe that'd be a good way to end this up. We'll share our collectibles.
All right. So let's see. Let me grab it real quick. This is one or a couple of my newer ones that I wanted to show. Really dope. Really dope. Yes, guys, I do collect. If you guys are following me on Instagram, you probably see me post them a couple times. Every time I get a new one, I post it on my story. But I got this Trunks right here. So this one I took the housing off of it just so you could see like the back of it and everything. But this one has, I want to say 5 or 6 more others that come with it, and you stack. Actually, it's 6. You stack them 3 by 3. It'd be 3 by 3 on top of each other, and they have just all the other characters. It's super cool. I'm gonna try and find them. I haven't been able to find a single other one, but yeah. And then we have the GOAT himself.
Oh, man.
Second best to Vegeta, but I think this figure is very beautifully painted. It's probably one of the more well done figures from the Dragon Ball Star series. But we have a base form Gogeta, and then we have a Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, who's pretty much the exact same, just with blue hair. Super Saiyan Blue. These right now are probably my favorites. And man, they're dope. But yeah.
I don't have a whole lot of like character collectibles right now. I just don't have a lot of space for them because there's a really great there's a really great Anakin model and a great Ahsoka model, and I really want to get both of those, but I just I don't have the space for them.
Have you seen the so these were done by Lego. Have you seen the Japanese or the Samurai Star Wars mashup collectibles? So there's a Darth Vader, and they have his suit it's modeled like a samurai.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah. I actually followed. I think a lot of those were inspired by who's Jaber Talk on Instagram. I think was the guy that did that. Because I follow a whole crap of that stuff for what I do on my designs. I suppose I should explain to your audience. I do a lot of character profiles of Star Wars characters. My New Year's resolution for 2021 was to design a character per week, and I've somehow managed to do that so far. I will share my screen here real quick. This is that's not the folder. That's the folder. Just some of the file folders I've had so far, and we'll go through here real quick. You guys can see Ahsoka was the first. Rex. We have Mando, Grogu, Plo Koon. That was your boy's request.
Yeah.
He wanted to see Plo Koon. I thought, you know what? I want to see Plo Koon too. So we're going to do Plo Koon. I've done a few recreations of scenes. This is one of my favorite scenes in the season finale or the Clone Wars finale. Just that shot. I don't know what it does. It gets to me. It just does. We got Grievous, Jesse, Hondo, who is, I think, one of the funniest characters in Clone Wars. He's so funny. Bo-Katan, we got Pre Vizsla, Satine, Lothwolf, Ezra and the Lothwolves, Sabine, Kanan, Zeb, Hera, Callus, Thrawn, who I think is one of the smartest characters in the Star Wars universe. I suppose that could be a better comparison for Itachi. I mean, just for the intelligence itself. Or no, sorry, not Itachi.
Senku.
Yeah, Senku, sorry. He's incredibly intelligent. He's an Imperial, but dude's smart. He's awesome. The Bad Batch, which these have been my favorite designs so far, just because of the intricacies I had to get for kind of the wear and tear of the helmet took a long time. And so it's like to try and make him look used and beat up took a while. And then today's was Omega, who I think is pure awesomeness. And if anybody hurts her, they will die. But I'm currently in the Rebels part of my designs. I finished those. I'm going to go on to Ahsoka. This is my master list. Oh shoot, I stopped sharing. This is the master list, and you can see that I've gone well past a year here. So some fun things coming up. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked there. But I just don't have a whole lot of those kind of collectibles. I want them. You did mention Lego. I've got a lot. Sorry guys, I don't have the Lego Millennium Falcon or Death Star or Star Destroyer. I just don't have the space. I do have the Y-Wing, which has since been retired at a Lego. And I think I got one of the last ones because I ordered it and then a week later it was retired. I have the A-Wing, the Lego R2, the X-Wing, the Razor Crest is down there with the TIE Fighter. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of in there. I have my shelf lighting all lit up. But I think, Z, you already know what you want. I think you already know what I'm going to show next because you want to see this too.
Do it.
Do it. Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, y'all. The most beautiful thing any Star Wars fan can get. I really have to back up here. So I currently have these set up with Ahsoka's Clone Wars colors. So Ahsoka fights Jar-Kai. So that's two saber fighting. So you have the main hand and then the Shoto hand. So the Shoto hand you can see is a smaller hilt and it's a shorter blade. So these are the ends of the hilts and the blade is just a bit shorter. In the show, the blade's much shorter than this. I just ordered it a bit longer because I didn't want it that short of a blade because I don't know how to fight like that. But the Shoto hand was kind of this lime green, and then her main hand was green. But in the Clone Wars finale, whoops, go back, there, they're blue. That's the Mandalorian colors. Ignore me. I'm still learning this. I set up a new saber profile and the buttons are a bit different. So you have the blue sabers, where Anakin says they're good as new, maybe a little bit better, implying that he made them blue because that's Anakin's color. So beautiful sounds. All these sound fonts that I bought are from Kyberphonic, who's kind of the best of the best in my mind with making sound fonts. Anyone who has a saber can make their own saber styles, their own saber colors. There's a website that allows you to do that. And the hilts are from Solo's Hold, but it's all put together by Corbanth. That's where these are from.
Yeah. And then for anybody wondering, if you guys are interested, because I know there's some anime fans like Star Wars too, I'll have the link to that website down in the bio, as well as Charlie's links to all of his social medias. And yeah.
I have the power.
All right. So Charlie's going a little bit crazy over here. So
I think that's a good place to end it, isn't it?
I think on that note, I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Remember to follow me on Instagram at DBZarrion. My Twitter handle is DBZarrion, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's also DBZarrion. We do all types of stuff about this, and I look forward to seeing you guys, and you know, hopefully me and Charlie will collab again sometime in the future.
Yes,
definitely have some ideas.
Yeah, if you guys have any fun suggestions, please send it our way because this is fun. I love doing this stuff. I have 2 Instagram accounts. It is CP3O Star Wars and Chazine. And then my YouTube channel is also Chazine. I didn't point correctly, did I? my thing's mirrored. I can't point it correctly there. The YouTube channel Chazine, Instagram Chazine, and then CP3O Star Wars. I do not have a Twitter. Well, I don't have a Twitter that I'm willing to use for fans, I should say. So I will see you guys sometime later. I hope everybody is having a good day, and remember that the Force will be with you always.
Yes.
Goodbye, guys.
See you.